Jukic in first place with 440 points. The two Polish men back-to-back in 7th and 8th out of the same affiliate, Bronislaw Alenkovic and Michał Wesolowski. They're going to complete this test, which for Bronislaw, at least the overhead squats, should be absolutely no problem.
Shouldn't be a problem. They're going to move through the overhead squats onto the rower, then onto the handstand pirouettes before we try out some gymnastics against the wall and in the rope. And guess what? After that, they need to make their way back. Time cap, 15 minutes. Well, pace the first row. That's the first thing. Secondly is know your capacity on the handstand push-ups. We've seen a lot of people go out too hot and heavy, burnt themselves, and found themselves in all kinds of trouble trying to get back.
3 men in this heat that are bidding for their first time to the CrossFit Games: Dumaine, Hoste, and Wesolowski. Down to Lauren Smith.
Cheers, Joel. Yes, coming into the weekend, we didn't know a whole lot about Jelle Hoste, so I reached out to his coach, Andre Houdet of No Shortcuts, and I just want to read you what he sent back to me. Jelle is a quiet, polite, kind, and humble person, the most calculated, clever, and hardest working individuals that I've ever met, and I'm proud to be a part of his journey. He comes into the final day in 5th, and he'll be hoping to join his coach at the CrossFit Games with 2 good tests today.
Lauren, thank you. 28-year-old Jelle Hoste competed in Madrid in 2021, and he said, "When did I know I arrived? When I beat Roman Krenikov in a running event." Hoste won the run event yesterday, test number 5. Going to work in test number 6, trying to clinch that CrossFit Games ticket.
Beyond what he's already done, the results he's already had, wrap yourself around those words from Andre Houdet. Hardest worker I've ever met. That's saying a lot.
Especially from a guy like Andre Houdet.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He's got to put himself into that equation as well.
Lazar Dukic is your overall leader. 5th ranked man in the worldwide rankings. 2nd in this semifinal behind Björgvin Karl Gudmundsson. Lazar Dukic came here to make a statement, and so far, Mads, statement made. Statement
definitely made. Great focus from him. By focus, I mean focus on his own journey, his own tests, and his own execution of those tests. I think he's done a great job of not getting caught up in all kinds of leaderboard shambles. I was going to say shenanigans, said shambles instead.
Both work.
Yeah. But that's the thing that comes with maturity as an athlete, is exactly what we're seeing here from Lazar.
And it kind of started at the Rogue Invitational, ironically. Didn't have the offseason that he wanted to. Struggled at Rogue, struggled at Dubai, competing while he was sick, and that really set him in motion to make some changes. Lauren talked about it earlier in the weekend, hiring a powerlifting coach, settling down in terms of where he was training, honing in his focus.
And that's what happens. With success comes all kinds of opportunities. At that point, you need to vet those opportunities, and I think he's doing a great job of doing that.
And oh, by the way, 4th in the lift yesterday. That's going to go a long way at the Games.
Michał Wesolowski, another relative unknown coming into the weekend. He's got good running and strength capacity and been working on his gymnastics under fatigue, which could fare well in this event. His 2nd son, born earlier this year, so he's a dad as well. And we just saw Fabi Benito do well in the heat prior with that heat win. He works with the same Spanish programmers, Training Culture, and they have this big group WhatsApp where they've been sharing strategy, thoughts, and insights. I would love to have known the chat ahead of this test.
Well, thank you, Lauren. Could be the first Training Culture athlete to make it to the CrossFit Games as an individual. Their head coach is Alexander Anasagasti, who we saw compete just a couple of heats ago. He is the first international athlete, Michał, for the Training Culture. They're usually just Spanish-based, but they've expanded with him to Poland.
And they did well. I mean, I think all the training programs that are out there are essentially great. The question is whether they are right for you. And I think that's the evaluation you need to do. Looks like Michał found a home that suits him very, very well.
Onto the handstand pirouettes across the board. Well, one of the things you need to do to execute handstand pirouettes is have some mobility in those shoulders.
And Jon Nikoski here finishing up pretty effortlessly, moving straight onto the rope. I just hope that shoulder isn't going to get him any trouble. Here's a guy you may have heard of, Lazar Dukic. He's doing pretty well as well.
I thought he was going to take a breath and then go right back to it. But it's also wise here. Dukic doesn't go away from the rope. He stays in it.
Yep.
Dukic left, Jonakoski right.
Oh, man, I'm so happy to see Jona climb the rope like that. It means his shoulder is okay.
You could tell that shoulder was bothering him during test 2, which he won. And then we didn't see him work out without a shirt until day 2 of competition. That's when we saw the kinetic tape revealed.
Ah, look at those handstand push-ups. No problem.
It's another guy that made a training change in the offseason, Jonakoski, working with Jami Tikkanen and the training plan.
There's some experience and pedigree there. I think Annie's been doing pretty well, and so has Björkvin.
Jona had pretty much just programmed for himself prior to that.
But then again, Jonakoski also has a bunch of great sparring. I mean, he works out with, or has worked out with Mikko Salo, and there's a bunch of very promising, good athletes coming out of Finland as well. I know he's enjoyed some sparring from all of them.
It was the former Games champion Mikko Salo that got Koski into CrossFit. And Jonakoski has passed Lazar Dukic. He is first back to the rope on this second round of 2 rope climbs. One down for Koski. Jona's in a great position right now, 6th place overall. He was 15th on test 1, and ever since then has not been outside of a qualification spot to the games.
Ah, there he goes. And remember how effortlessly Jona did the first handstand walk, so a little bit of luck. It's going to be just the same now, sets him up for success.
He's the only man doing the handstand walks, because in lane 10 on the right side of your screen, that's Antoine Dumaine, still on his first round of handstand walks. And Dumaine came into this heat 28 points clear of qualification. He is watching a potential first trip to the CrossFit Games slip through his fingers. This is great news for Fabian Benito, who was tremendous in Heat 5.
It sure is, and you know he's outside just looking at this right now.
BKG, top of the screen in the black bottoms, trying to make it to his 10th consecutive CrossFit Games. Also got out to a slow start this weekend. He was outside of qualification midday yesterday.
But as he said himself, I'm not going anywhere.
The show rolls on.
And he's slugging it out right now with Henri Kappalainen.
Closing in on the 7-minute mark. 8:55 is the test record established by Justin Medeiros. The number to beat for a test win here is 9:34, set in Heat 4 by Victor Hoffer. That number is within reach, particularly for Jonakoski. .855.89 set last week in Pasadena by an angered Justin Medeiros.
You would not like me angry. Lazar Dukic making it onto the rower as well. At the same time as Jonakoski has about 200 meters left on the rower.
Koski has that kinetic tape on his shoulder. Probably going to stretch it out after the event. Maximize your CrossFit performance with GoWOD's tailor-made mobility program. You can try GoWOD with a 14-day free trial today. A lot of GoWOD going on back in the athlete warm-up area.
More and more so during an entire weekend like this.
Pre- and post-event protocol. Jonakoski, that shoulder's starting to bug him here. He took a break, let that arm dangle, and you can see him then shake out the right side too.
Well, it's a veteran move. If you know you're going to have to get something overhead afterwards and stabilize it, then why not shake your arms out? Because this is not the road that you're going to blow yourself up on.
Well, Koski's not going to catch Justin Medeiros' test record, but he could pick up a test win. He needs a minute before Victor Hoffer's score comes into play. Oh, and this is a clinic by Joona Koski.
Ah, this looks good. This looks very, very, very good.
The crowd is behind him.
And here's Björkman Carl Gudmundsson.
Coming up from behind, 10 reps behind Koski on the far side of your screen. Both these men are wily vets. BKG is trying to go to his 10th consecutive CrossFit Games. For Koski, it would be 9 in 10 years. Joona's first appearance was in 2014. He's still only 28. His goal is to podium. He said, I see myself capable of winning the CrossFit Games. That's why I do this. Hoffer's score is at 9:34. Victor Hoffer is going to come away with a test win, but it's Joona Koski with the heat win. He all but seals up a spot at the 2023 Noble CrossFit Games as well.
And this is great. This is great for Koski, obviously. I mean, it's an amazing effort. Shows that the shoulder isn't necessarily a problem, but it is also great for Björkman, who only has these last couple of reps left to go, and he needed a big win here, a big finish. He went out and got it.
BKG done. Top 10. Top 11 with a games ticket. Here's Jukic. Lazar first place overall. He's never finished lower than second in a semifinal. He won last year at Lowlands. In position to win again this year here in Europe, and Lazar Jukic completes test 6 in 10:38.
So many great things to say about Lazar Jukic. He's just one of the nicest men I've ever met.
Just kind of happens this way in CrossFit. If you fly under the radar, you finish 3rd and 4th a lot, you don't get a ton of attention, and then you finish 3rd and 4th in an event, and it's like, wow,
yeah,
you're on the podium. That is the case for this young man. Henrik Haapalainen is in 3rd place overall. He's not finished lower than 11th in a single test this weekend.
Henrik Haapalainen is doing really, really, really well. I love to see how he's coming into his own. And I think we're going to see him a lot of years. He's got a lot left.
Been to the last 2 games. We still have 3.5 minutes before the cap. And this is not a good spot for Antoine Dumaine. The Paris police officer. The handstand pirouettes gave him trouble to get to the rope and the handstand push-ups. Now he's got to do them again.
Yeah. It's not his favorite movement, that's for sure.
Dumaine was 28 points good on qualifying. Olenkowicz trying to lock up his 2nd ticket to the games.
And while we have Jelle Hoste out here at the same time as David Sharonki, we also have Moritz Fiebig back on the rower, which is not good for Moritz.
Fabian Benito, as Hoste slides in, finished in 11:05. 5th place in the event. It's going to be good for better than 80 points. With Dumaine still back at the rig, he is in big trouble.
Yeah, this is not where he wanted to be right now, that's for sure. And we've seen it before. The handstand walk is just, it's hard. As soon as you start getting in trouble with it, it just gets progressively harder and harder. And here you got Fiebig, as we talked about before. He's on the rower still.
But the good news for Fiebig is that he came in a much safer position. Moritz was not 24 points safe from qualification. He was 24 points out of the overall lead. So Fiebig is in a much better spot, although this will dent him. And as Wesolowski finishes, he is 29th in the event. We're talking about picking up teens of points at this point.
Oh, Antoine Domaine did not need this, that's for sure.
And Mads, we talked about it from the top. A lot of times at regional, sanctional, semifinal levels, your rookies make noise through the first couple of days, and then you get to the final day, and oftentimes your veterans rear their heads.
All that experience just comes into play.
Fiebig's got the entire crowd behind him here in Germany.
So here we've got a great little screen. Fiebig on the right, finishing up the overhead squats at the same time as Antoine Domaine tries for his last pirouette. As we see the clock on the top left of your screen, his time is running out.
The crowd is going to will their countrymen to the finish line. Fiebig done. Final score, 14:35. That is good for 36th place for Moritz Fiebig, 9th in the heat, and Domaine is watching a plane ticket to Madison fall through his fingers.
Oh.
And a no rep, he touched the line. The test is over. Pencils down.
Oh. Jonne did an amazing job, though. I mean, he really, really went out there and put on the clinic that he needed to put on. And I've got to say, I really liked what I saw from Jonne. We had some questions about his shoulders, but there was no need for that. Here he is on the way back after the gymnastics on the rope and on the wall. Back to the handstand, looking very, very good. He did come down once on the way back before he got to the rower. Once he got on the rower, he was really composed. He knew exactly what pace he needed to keep, and also he shook his arms out, he adjusted his knee braces. He made that row a prep for the overhead squat. And there it is. Once he got to the overhead squat, close to beating Hofer's time, but didn't quite get there. But pretty happy Jonne Koski finishing up. BKG did exactly what he needed to do. He said yesterday he wasn't going anywhere, and this is exactly what he needed coming out of this. At the same time, though, a lot of other things were going on. Antoine Domaine was right there on the bubble, and he found himself in all kinds of trouble on that handstand walk, and he may have just seen the plane ticket to Madison go out the window.
Well, there is a plane ticket for Jonne Koski, and he's with Lauren Smith.